Hello everyone and welcome to Centrestack. In today's session, I'm going to show you how we have streamlined the tenant creation process, and I'm also going to show you how tenants are created using the new UI. We're in the cluster manager as logged in as an admin, and I'm going to select Tenants Manager from the left pane. And the first thing I want to show you is that now we have a list view and we also have an icon view, and you could switch back and forth, and then you have the option to add a tenant from here in the list view, or switch to icon view and you have an option to add a tenant from here or a new tenant from here. I'm going to create a new tenant and I'm going to enter the information. I'm going to enter the first name and the last name. I'm going to enter the email address, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a password. And I'm going to go ahead and re-enter the password. I'm going to type in the organization name. I'm going to type in comp art. And then we have the tenant plan here, which is 3 by default, and you could change it. I'm going to change it to 10. And then the storage plan, by default, it's 100 GB. I'm going to change it to 0, which is unlimited, and I'm going to select continue. And here on the advanced page under tenant creation, we have the custom domain. If your company has a domain name that you would like to use, you could insert here, or you could leave this field blank unless you want to support per tenant branding. We have tenant administrative control. There are certain features you want to expose to a tenant, such as LDAP, set up LDAP for Active Directory or mount external cloud storage services. And you would check the following which you want to expose to your administrator. The first one we have is allow tenant to attach external cloud storage, allow tenant edit branding setting, and edit tenant administrative info, allow creating guest user, allow tenant to increase user plan automatically, and then we have tenant never expires. This is by default, but if you want your tenant to have an expiration date, you would uncheck it and set an expiration time. So I'm going to check it because that's what I want to do, and allow tenant edit LDAP setting, view and edit group policy, force all folders except root to be version, show data at rest encryption configuration page, which requires an empty storage container. For security and compliance reasons, you can enable their encryption for the tenant, and all data will be stored using encryption on the backend storage. So I'm going to go ahead and select continue from the bottom. And now we have the tenant storage page. We have the first choice, which is automatically assign a subfolder from cluster default tenant. And when this is selected, the tenant default storage will be a subfolder inside the cluster default tenant storage folder. It is easier to manage when you don't need per tenant storage access credential. We also have use existing file server or local disk as enterprise storage. If you have an existing file server or local disk, you can specify the path here. We also support shares from Linux, Unix, DFS servers, and we also support share if it's a DFS share. You can also choose use cloud storage as enterprise storage. And when you select that, we have a list of cloud storage services, and you could choose the one that you want to choose. I'm going to go ahead and select automatically assign a subfolder from cluster default tenant, and I'm going to select continue. And my tenant has been created. I'm going to go into Tenants Manager. In the icon view, I see my comp art ink right here that I just created. And I'm going to go into the list view, and I also see my new tenant that I've created here. And this is how you would create a new tenant using Tenants Manager in Centrestack. Thank you.